In this video, we're going to be going over which broker is best for you. Let's get straight into it. So there's a lot of different brokers out there. You can trade futures, options, forex, stuff like that. But in this video, I'm going to be primarily covering the best brokers for trading options and common stock with. I'm not going to really cover futures too much or trading forex. I don't really do that. There's a million different brokers out there you can research or watch a different video for. If you want to keep on watching and hear my experience with different brokers, I've tried lots of them. So stay tuned and we'll get right into it. So I think the two most common brokers people use to start trading are either Webull or Robinhood. Let me just start with Robinhood. The reason I don't like it now is not because they shut off the buy button or anything random like that. I actually think Robinhood is a pretty good app to start investing in. For any of my friends or people I know in my personal life, if they want to start investing, I either just send them to M1 Finance or to Robinhood because the user interface is so good. And Robinhood, they really kind of set the standard for user interface and mobile apps in the last decade. So you can give credit to Robinhood for that. When it comes to trading, especially scalping on Robinhood, their customer support is pretty much non-existent. Their fills are pretty terrible. And their trades, I'd say they're rather hard to manage. Now, if you're swing trading, I can see it working, but actively trading in and out quick scalps with large sums of money, I would definitely not recommend Robinhood. I would definitely recommend using a different broker. But if fills and executions are too important to you, you just like how the user interface looks and it looks pretty, then Robinhood's a great choice. But as you start to advance and grow in your trading career, I would definitely recommend moving on to a different broker than Robinhood. Now, Webull, similar story. Their user interface, I will say, is kind of decent, but everything other than the user experience is pretty poor, in my opinion. Their customer support is rather terrible. Pretty impossible to get in contact with a customer support agent. If you wire money to them, it takes 3 to 5 days. Last time I used Webull was 2021. I tried to wire money. It took 5 days somehow, and they still charged me a wire fee, which is kind of ridiculous. The money should be settled almost instantly if I wire to a different institution, especially when it comes to my money. If I can't contact a support agent, it's pretty concerning. And if especially I'm sharing with large sums of money on a different broker, I want to be able to have pretty rapid access as I can to a customer support agent, especially anything regarding my money. I don't want to have to jump through hoops and like contact and email support to contact a real person. Similar story on Webull. The fills are pretty bad. That's all I really got for Webull. Webull is probably one of the worst brokers I've used, and I had a pretty bad experience with it. Now, like I mentioned, if user experience and UI is something that really matters to you, Webull is a great platform. But I think really one of the main reasons people use Webull is the little card thing. You can share your gains and losses with people. It kind of gamifies trading. I get why influencers and people on Twitter use this. It makes it really easy to share your gains and losses. When it comes to trading and actual executions and fills and everything like that, everything that I would expect from a broker, Webull is pretty bottom of the barrel. I would stay pretty far away from Webull if you have the option to. So for mid-tier brokers, I'd say you have Fidelity, ActiveTrader Pro, and ThinkorSwim by TD Ameritrade. Now personally, I had a good experience on both of these platforms, but for what I was trying to do when it came to scalping, I had to move on to a different broker. Majority of my early trading started on Fidelity ActiveTrader Pro, especially when I started trading options. The biggest thing that moved me away from Fidelity was the fact you're unable to trade 0 DTE expirations. So especially when I had a smaller account, I was trying to trade Friday expirations, especially when Tesla and Amazon were pre-split. I would have to go out to the following week and trade contracts because for some reason there's like a assignment risk on Fidelity. They don't let you trade them because, I don't know, people, I guess all the new traders kept on getting assigned and was losing the money or something like that. But that was probably the most frustrating part about Fidelity, just the fact that I couldn't trade 0 DTEs. I even emailed them and there's no way to waive this claim. Last time I checked, almost 2-3 years ago. Fidelity ActiveTrader Pro in general, it's really lacking in updates. The platform feels like it's from 2004. If you go check their Reddit pages, people have been asking for updates for literally 2-3 years. The support agents pretty much abandoned the thread. They keep on saying they're working on updates, but they're nowhere to be found. So the platform itself is pretty lackluster. When I used it, I would have to use TradingView to chart along with it because the charts in ActiveTrader Pro are so terrible. If charting and stuff like that isn't too big of a deal and you can deal with the sluggish UI and the lackluster, dated kind of retro feel to Fidelity, it's a pretty decent platform. It's not as bad as like Webull or Robinhood, but it's definitely not like the next brokers I'm going to discuss. Customer support is one thing, especially when I started trading with larger sums of money. It's something that really is important to me. And being able to contact a customer support agent relatively quickly, either the phone call or through the live chat, I can get in touch with somebody in like maybe 5 minutes max, especially if it's urgent, or I can just call them and they'll usually pick up in probably like a minute if it's really important. It's about, exiting a position. So Fidelity, it's a mid-tier. It's not too bad like Robinhood or Webull, but it definitely lacks in UI and other, everything about the platform itself just kind of feels dated. It is not too robust. So ThinkorSwim, I think, is a really great platform. I think if you're new to trading and you haven't traded before, or you're just trying to move on from Robinhood or Webull, is definitely a good start. I know lots of people make tons of money with ThinkorSwim, but when it comes to executions and fills, similar story for my trading and what I had to do with it. It wasn't really suitable for me any longer. I just experienced lots of lag with it, trying to get in and out of trades, especially when you start using things like Bookmap instead of ThinkorSwim. I noticed that ThinkorSwim started lagging. The candles would be moving all over the place and they weren't closing properly and stuff like that. But similar to Fidelity, the customer support's really great. You can get in contact with somebody relatively easy. They have a bunch of educational resources built into ThinkorSwim, and everything about it's just a really great platform. I still do enjoy charting on it every now and then. I use Tradestation for that now. Just viewing volume, viewing the options chain, using Bookmap integrated into ThinkorSwim. I think it's an overall really great platform, but when it came to executions and fills and stuff like that regarding entering and exiting a trade, I just felt that TD Ameritrade was lacking in the area, so it's not a great broker when it came to fills and executions, but everything else about ThinkorSwim is pretty good. And I think one common thing I see with lots of brokers, it really depends on what you're trying to do with them. So for me, like I mentioned, fills and stuff, getting in and out of trades is really important. I want to have the best fills possible, but for some people it isn't too important. So that would make ThinkorSwim a really great platform to them. It just kind of depends on what you want to do with the platform. Overall, ThinkorSwim has everything you can ask for, and it's a pretty good broker. I would definitely recommend it if you're new trading, and I would definitely recommend it if you're trying to move on from Webull, Robinhood, or Fidelity. So now we're just going to finish up the video talking about the S tier or the advanced brokers. I definitely recommend using one of these brokers if you have the funding or the experience needed. The first one's going to be Interactive Brokers, and then I'll talk about Lightspeed, which is my primary broker and the one I recommend for almost everybody. So I think overall, Interactive Brokers is a really great platform. The fills and executions are phenomenal. Pretty much what I would expect from a broker of this tier. Now I do have to say, the user experience and the charting on Interactive Brokers are pretty terrible. They're Fidelity tier. It feels like the platform hasn't been updated since 2002. But if charting and user experience aren't too big of a deal for you and you're just really focused on fills, entries, and exits, I think Interactive Brokers is a good starting ground, and there's no minimum funding requirement like Lightspeed. And similar to the previous brokers, you're able to easily contact somebody within maybe 30 seconds to a minute. You call them, they pick up the phone instantly. They can answer almost any question you have, and they're a pretty good support team. Now going on to the final broker, the broker that I use, Lightspeed. The one thing stopping lots of people from using Lightspeed is, first of all, there's no mobile app, and there's a $25,000 minimum funding requirement. So I think those two things stop people from even looking to Lightspeed, but that's also a good thing because there's a barrier to entry. So for example, if I need customer support, because there's a wall to enter a Lightspeed, $25,000 minimum funding requirement, there's not going to be too many people using the platform. And then I'm easily able to contact a rep in almost like 15 seconds. I pick up the phone, they answer almost instantly, and I'm able to get on the phone with an agent pretty quickly. There's been times because they don't have a mobile app, I've had to close on the phone. I just give them my user information and they were able to close out the trade for me and do everything on my own just by calling them, and within 2 minutes they closed out my trade and set a stop loss for me. Just that's how beneficial and useful it is to have that barrier to entry. Now when it comes to not having a mobile app, that's definitely something that stops people. But if you're scalping and entries and exits are very important to you, I don't think you're necessarily going to be trading on your phone in the first place. So that's why Lightspeed also has pretty high commissions, because it's a direct access broker and you don't have to go through a third party and worry about your order getting routed into weird places. So that's another pro or con depending on how you look in commissions. Personally, I don't think commissions are something you should really consider or worry about. If you're actually a profitable trader, commissions shouldn't be anything that really concerns you or bothers you when picking from a broker. If you have to think about how using a commission-free broker or using a broker that charges you commissions and you have really great entries and exits, I think it's almost a no-brainer. I think the amount of money you're losing on terrible fills will be made up for you by having slight 65-cent commissions on option contracts in particular. Once again, kind of personal preference, but the UI or the user experience, it feels kind of industrial, but some of the stuff is almost too customizable. So I can go into the time and sell and change all the windows to my liking. I'm able to modify the columns to my liking, put different things in them. You can customize almost every aspect of Lightspeed to your liking. You can set up custom hotkeys and custom buttons to make entering orders very easy and everything like that. So while it is industrial and looks relatively old, it's very efficient and easy to use. Whereas something like Fidelity Active Trader Pro, it feels really old and sluggish. It's almost unresponsive. Whereas when you use something like Lightspeed, it feels very responsive, and every button you press, things happen almost instantly. You don't have to think like, oh, did I get filled? Is my order out there in the market? It makes trading a lot more easy, not having to guess if my order got filled, if I entered the wrong number of contracts. Everything pre-programmed, my hotkeys are all set up. They're connected to my Stream Deck. So everything is pre-programmed, and it makes trading a lot more easy and makes trading a lot more efficient. Having everything set up on a broker like Lightspeed, that is very fast and very efficient and very optimal to use in my opinion. I just want to mention there's a few brokers I didn't talk about, for example, like E-Trade, Charles Schwab. Those are both good brokers I've heard good things about. They may work. I haven't tried them personally, so I can't give my opinion on them. I know lots of people who use these brokers and they have great success with them. Now there's some other brokers I didn't talk about, like Tradestation, Tradovate, Ninja Trader. Now these ones are more so for futures, and you can also connect them to TradingView. I have not tried those brokers either, but lots of people say really good things about them. The ones I have tried, I've had a pretty good experience in all of them, but I think Lightspeed is overall the best platform I've ever used, and I plan to continue using them for the time being. So just leave a like and comment below, and stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for watching.